All right, so some really interesting stuff happening at CD Projekt today. They made a very big announcement that they have acquired another studio. This studio is going to be working on a new game within their existing IP infrastructure. That is, this game is going to be dedicated to either Cyberpunk or the Witcher franchise, but this is a key indicator as to how CD Projekt as a whole is thinking about their franchises going forward. So we're going to be talking about how this is going to be impacting Cyberpunk. Plus, we're going to be talking about some brand new details about what we can expect from Cyberpunk and its sales numbers here in the next year. We have a new update about that one. Plus, we're going to be talking about the next gen delay, how that is actually a double-edged sword. So a lot of stuff to talk about right now. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good, and let's get straight into the official announcement from CD Projekt. Check this out right here. This is the headline. The Molasses Flood video games development studio joins CD Projekt Group. And these are the games that they've worked on in the past, and this is something that we could be seeing from franchises such as Cyberpunk or The Witcher. So they have worked on Flame in the Flood, as you can see right here. It looks really beautiful. I love the actual artwork on this one. And then they did work on Drake Hollow. Now, they describe them as being games that are survival and base building games. So it's going to be interesting to see which franchise they actually go after first with this studio. Are they going to be making a brand new Cyberpunk themed game built in the vein like, hey, who knows, The Ascent? Because that could be actually possible. A lot of the stuff that the Molasses Flood video game team works on is stuff similar to what we're seeing right here. And The Ascent was actually really big when it came out, and I personally really love this game. And I did say it would be cool to see more games like this between big AAA releases to keep us going. You know, even the Fallout universe, I've been surprised on how they haven't offered us, you know, type of like Fallout Tactics type games. The good one, by the way, I know you guys know what I'm talking about, but it would be cool to have like a big AAA Fallout game release, for example, and then on top of that, you know, in between while they're developing their games, because it takes so long to develop, we get these isometric type games, or maybe even in this case right here with Drake Hollow, made by the Molasses Flood video games group. This is a co-op experience right here. So I'm curious to see what they do with Cyberpunk. Let's get into the announcement further. They go on to say the following. CD Projekt announces the acquisition of US-based developer The Molasses Flood, founded in Boston in 2014 by BioShock, Halo, and Guitar Hero and Rock Band series veterans. The Molasses Flood is known for survival and base building games, The Flame in the Flood and Drake Hollow. We're always on the lookout for teams who make games with heart, says Adam Kaczynski, president and joint CEO of CD Projekt. The Molasses Flood share our passion for video game development. They're experienced, quality-oriented, and have great technological insight. I'm convinced they'll bring a lot of talent and determination to the group. And you know, what's really noteworthy also is this group, this new studio, has experience with single-player games, but also they can make cooperative games as well. So I found that interesting. So maybe we could see a cooperative type experience with either Cyberpunk or The Witcher, or both in the future. Now it says, from the inception of the Molasses Flood, it was our goal to create games that touch, and inspire people, says Forrest Dowling, studio head of the Molasses Flood. When CD Projekt approached us about the possibility of working together, we saw an incredible opportunity to reach a much wider audience through a collaboration with a company we love, creating games and worlds we love. We could not be more excited to continue our mission with the support of CD Projekt and their incredibly talented team. Now, also, it has been confirmed that although CD Projekt has acquired this studio, they're going to leave them at it. You know, they're going to let them develop basically how they have developed games before being acquired, which I think is super important. So in my opinion, it seems like they will be funding a lot of these projects and helping them out perhaps with hiring and things like that, because this team is also on a hiring spree as well. So CD Projekt as a whole is growing like mad for sure. And we also have a note from the Molasses Flood as well. We heard from CD Projekt, but check this out. It says, howdy folks. We've got some pretty cool news to share. The Molasses Flood has officially joined CD Projekt. So what does this mean? We get to build a completely new game in the universe of an existing CD Projekt IP. We get to hire a lot more folks, and we get to keep making games based on the same principles that have always guided us, making games with heart built on rich gameplay systems. We're also staying the Molasses Flood, although we'll probably add a CD Projekt studio to that pretty often. When we start talking with CD Projekt, they made it clear that they weren't looking to simply absorb us, but rather embrace us and support our own culture and growth. We'd love to talk about what we're working on, but we're going to have to wait for now. In the meantime, we're hiring, so if you're interested in seeing what we're up to, send along a resume. Thanks for reading, and we can't wait to share more in the future. I am so curious to see if we end up with games like The Ascent in the future. This is going to be interesting. Let me know what you guys would like to see from the Molasses Flood, considering their pedigree. Sound off in the comments down below. But let's go ahead and talk about what is going on with the numbers for Cyberpunk. Check this out right here. It says, analysts expect Cyberpunk to sell 4.2 million copies in 2021, much below expectations. If we dive further into this article right here, sources in the description below as always. It says Polish business outlet Bankier spoke to a few analysts who shared their forecasts about Cyberpunk sales. Key takeaways are as follows. According to the forecast, the game might sell between 700,000 and 2 million copies during the fourth quarter of 2021. It is the same period when the next-gen versions are supposed to come out. Cyberpunk could reach 4.2 million copies sold in 2021, which would bring the total sales to around 18 million units. It is far below the initial expectations of 30 million copies sold during the first year. Ouch, it's like almost nearly cut in half, basically. The impact of the next-gen update might also be minor because around 7 million people have already bought versions for PS4 and Xbox One and will receive the update for free. So since people are going to be receiving the update for free, they're also going to have to consider how they're going to, I guess, market this in a way to bring in new users, if it's worth getting back into the game, of course. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how much impact the next gen update actually has on the game as a whole. I think it's going to be more about expansion pack number 1, bringing back people, and also it's going to be super noteworthy that they have a really good, price tag related to that. Nearly free, I guess you would say, but it seems like they're going to price that one. We'll see what the price point will be. Hopefully it's not too high, because that would cause controversies of its own. Now, let's talk about this right here. Cyberpunk Next Gen delay is a double-edged sword. That is definitely true. Check it out. It goes on to say this. This comes from Game Rant. It says the announcement of the Cyberpunk Next Gen delay until 2022 should reduce the skepticism of fans who thought the Next Gen upgrade would get canceled altogether or rushed into a broken state like the base game. Announcing the new release window rather than delaying it at the last moment, as CD Projekt did with the game's launch, is a good move and should give fans enough time to have realistic expectations of when they can play Cyberpunk 2077 in its full glory on consoles. It also indicates CD Projekt is taking its time to make sure the eventual PS5 and Xbox Series XS versions are polished and optimized. So yeah, there's definitely, I did see some other videos go out about the delay, and people were saying, I noticed in the top comments, hey, this is actually good news. It shows that they have learned from their mistakes and they're willing to take their time and they want to do it right. And that's what I totally agree with. And also, I was expecting Cyberpunk to have that type of delay, the next gen version to have that delay. Now, since Cyberpunk isn't a bad game, though it's not revolutionary, in fact, Cyberpunk dips its toes deep into Cyberpunk genre tropes that only hold it back from being a unique experience. While the lingering curiosity of the game's hype would have still pulled in many fans and newcomers in 2021 with next-gen upgrades, 2022 is a different beast altogether. Yes, absolutely. I mean, the video game lineup is insane. We've got Starfield, which I think is probably one of the biggest things that Cyberpunk has to worry about right now, considering some of the features in Starfield. That's the one that I think could really knock down the hype, I guess you would say, for the expansion coming up for Cyberpunk 2077. All right, now it's time to get into what the community is talking about right now in the Cyberpunk world. We have this one posted by Ashi4days, who says, sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who liked the game. They go on to say this, okay, the driving was terrible, and there are so many cool things that just never are talked about again. But I thought the storyline was pretty good. The voice acting was good, the city design was amazing, and the gameplay was good enough to not detract from the RPG elements. I would have given the game an 8 or 9 out of 10. That said, everyone else seems to think this game was the worst thing since Dakitana got released. Disclaimer, I played on PC. Yeah, that's a big disclaimer right there. The best experience, from what I understand, for Cyberpunk is definitely on PC or next-gen consoles. But let me know, what would you rate Cyberpunk out of a 10? You know, would it be an 8 or 9? Would you agree here with Ashi4days? Sound off in the comments below. I gotta know, after all this time, what would you rate Cyberpunk right now? Please sound off in the comments below. All right. Mentioning comments, you know what time it is. It is time for top comments, so let's do this right now. So my most recent video was titled the following: I have bad news about the next gen update, but it's going to be okay. New updates, I really do think it'll be okay, you know, when the next gen update releases. Hopefully it's not just an absolute disaster, but yeah, although it is considered bad news, there's some, you know, silver lining in there for sure. All right, so we have Lopez, who says this: Netflix series is going to be half motion storyboards with captions, final scenes and acting sound coming in 2023 as an update. Probably. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Matthew Walker says, I'm just waiting till it's done and ready. My interest in this game has dropped, so I'm not that bothered for it right now. Yeah, you know, I think there's going to be other games to move on to and just enjoy. That's why I'm kind of like just like sitting around patient, because there's other games that I've been even playing now while I wait. And there's going to be Battlefield that I'll be playing soon enough. And then early 2022, I'm going to be checking out Saints Row. Yeah, so we'll see what happens while we wait around for Cyberpunk. Ma PS says, Business 101, it takes years to earn a customer's loyalty, and it takes only one day to lose it. CD Projekt RED got to relive this fact the hard way. Absolutely. Sparta Marcus says, I loved The Witcher 3, one of the best RPGs ever made. Because of that, I did not hesitate to pre-order Cyberpunk. I watched every Night City Wire episode. I did too. I hate to say this, but it is true. CD Projekt RED knowingly and deliberately deceived us about their game. I would never purchase another game from them without seeing a review first. You know, if that last line right here, the reviews were even positive about the game. It was the strangest thing that happened with this game. Usually, you know, the one review that was actually on the money got the most downvotes, the most hate. It was the GameSpot review, and she was actually 100% right about the game. But man, she really received so much horrible backlash for just giving her honest opinion, and all the other reviewers were like, oh man, this game's like a 9 out of 10. And then it finally released and people were really discovering, oh, wait a second, the GameSpot review was actually the one that was on the money over everyone else. So I found that bit of the entire Cyberpunk launch to be the most interesting part of it. But anyway, let's keep going with the comments here. We have Phoenix, who says this: yeah, I was kind of expecting to hear this. Glad they took the advice from the development team, though. Yeah, hopefully they're listening more to the people that are actually working on the game instead of the investors. It's definitely tough to balance for sure when running a business, because you have to make the investors happy, the people that are actually funding stuff, to keep the development team going. But you also have to listen to the development team, because they're the ones that are in the trenches and they know exactly what's going on with the coding and the game. We have Broove, who says this: honestly, I find it impressive. This is the first time I've seen a company with a reputation as big as CD Projekt RED to delay a game that's already been released. It was funny at first, but now it's just sad. I hear ya. Mario says, I think we all saw this one coming. I'm not bothered by it. Kind of just going with the flow at this point with CD Projekt RED. Yep, that's exactly how I feel about it. Just waiting and seeing, and we'll see what happens. But there it is, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk 2077 news and updates and open world gaming goodness. And I will see you all next time. Take care.